Here at Reardan Edwell School District, we strive every day to make sure students are known, loved, and learning.
When they say every student, they mean every student.
This year we're really excited to bring the Every Student system to Reardan. And in that system we look at classroom instruction in tiers. Tier 1 instruction is what all students receive, and it should work for about 80% of our population. Then a teacher does some check-ins with students to see if they're understanding the material.
Consistent data points really helps me to see individual student growth throughout the year, and ongoing assessments helps me to specifically see what students need to work on. I also will give students a quick exit ticket for me to check for understanding and also observations, whether that's small group or whole group. I also like to keep assessment folders for each individual student where I can easily access all of their assessment material. And for myself, keeping the data organized, I use spreadsheets and checklists where I can see if students are meeting, not meeting, or exceeding grade level expectations or standards.
We analyze the data through the Smarter Balance test, Ames Web, COGAT test, all these different assessments we give all of our students. We analyze the data to identify some strengths and weaknesses and to decide as teams where we can make our students grow.
The teacher looks at classroom data, they look at student work, and they determine who is not understanding or needs a reteach. And that's when they move into Tier 2 instruction, and that's about 15% of our population. And so in Tier 2 instruction, a teacher will look at the material and teach it in a different way.
I have a small reading group who are working on reading CVC words, reading and writing CVC words. And CVC words are consonant, vowel, consonant, those 3-letter words. I also have a group who are working on reading and writing words with digraphs or words with long vowels. So I'm really making sure that I'm meeting students' needs, but I'm also progressing them throughout the year. And so these groups are subject to change based on my data, and I'm really looking at my data to see if my interventions are working or to see if I need to refer students to the ESS team. When I'm looking at my data, I'm also looking at if certain students need intervention and if certain students need to be challenged. For myself, I'm looking at if my teaching strategies are working and if there's any overall gaps or trends among the class. So during my small group time, I'm really making sure that I'm providing the high quality, differentiated instruction. And that's when I provide those interventions to the students who need it. And I'm also challenging the students who are ready to be challenged. I use reading and math rotations. So I have about 5 groups. The other 4 groups are working on an educational activity that's appropriate for their level. And then I'm working with a small group of students, which is about 4 students. So I really want to make sure that I'm meeting the students' needs, but also progressing them throughout the year. And then I'm able to work with students one-on-one, whether they need interventions or whether they need me to challenge them with another activity.
What we're hoping for is more a hands-on approach or just a different way of explaining it will then help that student or your child master the skill. Then we have Tier 3 instruction. It's about 5% of our population in the classroom, and that's when students are really struggling. So they might be missing some skills that have been previously taught in other years. It could be that they didn't understand subtraction, and because of that, they're unable to do division. Or when we have students that are having a difficult time reading, they might need help with decoding or breaking words apart. And Tier 3 instruction is a more intense, and it's in a small group, so it could be done in the classroom. Or this year we've introduced an interventionist at school, and so that interventionist pulls students in that small group and is able to really focus on that skill. And what we really like to see is that the teacher in the classroom is working on that skill, and then that's your student or the child gets a double dose in intervention. So they would be able to get the same information twice from 2 different teachers. And when that's implemented, we really see a student skyrocket and we see them be able to master skills more quickly.
If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to your student's teacher, and we would like to continue the dialogue on how we can best meet your students' needs.